I'm sure at some point in your life you've been distracted. Now more than ever, being distracted is a very common thing. Distracted: Why Your Students Can't Focus and What You Can Do About It, written by James Lang and released in 2020, is a book that talks about that very problem. Many people are trying to be teachers nowadays, but it's getting harder and harder with all the distractions that are happening in the classroom. It's getting difficult. You're having to fight their attention of not only other classmates now, but now distractions of cellular devices and other devices in the classroom as well. Most kids are even given computers. So how can we fight with this attention? And why is this distraction even happening in the first place? Well, that's exactly the reason that James Lang was trying to tackle in his book. And since I read it, I wanted to talk about it a little bit with you guys. So, in this book, it's split into 3 sections, and I believe that these 3 sections are very important to understanding the main idea of this book and what we can really gain from it and why it's important. For me, the first thing that's really important is it gives a description and history on distractions, where they come from, where they stem from, why it happens. It's important to understand where it's all stemming from so we can understand how to be better teachers and apply it in the classroom. Number 2 is how the distractions apply to the classroom. We're going to be working in classrooms as teachers. So because of that, it's important for us to understand, okay, what is causing these distractions in the classroom and what can I do to counteract that? What can I do to be a better teacher to counteract that? And 3 is technology ban debates. Now, there's been a huge debate in schools of, all right, well, do I ban technology or do I keep it? I'm not really sure what's the best thing for me to do. This book really stood out to me though because I myself was getting distracted. When I was reading section 1 about the history of distractions, it talks about how people can only go 5 minutes without looking at their phone. And sure enough, there I was reading the chapter and I go and I check my phone. I fell into the trap. When I was reading section 2, which is talking about technology in the classroom and how we can't really focus on that many things, there's a section that's talking about how sometimes we just try to listen to things. Since I was struggling so much with the first chapter, I decided, well, maybe I should listen to this section of the textbook. Once again, I was wrong, and I got distracted. And as soon as I was listening, I realized I was doing the very thing that book said people do to get distracted. They try to listen to things and multitask, and it doesn't work. And 3, technology. Technology is always a distraction. It was the main distraction of me in these 2 cases. I kept getting distracted multiple times just trying to read this book. And because of that, it really helped emphasize to me that maybe I do have a problem. And if I'm having this problem, just trying to read, how much are our youth being affected even more when they've had all the more access to this and all the more time to get addicted to it? Now, even though there are a lot of debates on what we actually should do about this problem, I really did learn something from reading Distracted by James Lang. I realized that, okay, what can I do for my future students? What's going to be beneficial for me to do to them so that they can understand, hey, it's okay to get distracted, but let's harness that and really bring it in. For one, we have to remove outside distractions. If there's something happening in the classroom, what can we do to take care of that? If there's a kid being disruptive, maybe we can ask him to be quiet, or sometimes we just need to remove them from the situation. That can make a huge difference. You can ask your students to put their phones away. That's another big step that doesn't really seem like it would make that much of a difference, but in reality, it's all the difference. We need to get that out of the classroom at times. There's a time and a place for technology, and technology can be transformative, and it can change how we do schoolwork and make us better teachers for it, and better students. However, with too much technology, things can get a little bit out of hand. So, where do we balance that? It really depends on the teacher and the grade level. For me personally, if I'm teaching high school, technology is a battle I'm not gonna win. So, I need to harness that. I need to ask students to be doing something probably on their computers and ask them to put their phones away unless otherwise needed. By making this plan with them beforehand, we can try and disrupt all of the outside distractions and just keep us on in the classroom. It's also important that as teachers, I should be doing my part to really just keep them engaged. If we're doing activities and doing things that don't require the phones or just sitting and giving lectures, there's going to be less opportunities for us to get distracted. Now, there's going to be distractions regardless, but it's up to us to just improve find the differences, and adapt. It's okay to adapt. Things are hard sometimes that way. But if this sounds like something that you'd be interested in harnessing in your own classroom, because trust me, it's only going to get worse, then I would highly recommend reading Distracted. It's going to help us become better teachers in the long run. And after reading this book, I feel a lot more prepared to teach students. So, what can I say? If this seems like your alley, I would highly recommend it.